From spreading her own health agenda to thousands of people, to possibly cheating on her husband, this is the truth about Mikhaila Peterson. Many of you may already know that this 32-year-old gained attention due to her father's fame. Jordan Peterson is a psychologist, author, commentator, podcast host, and more importantly, an internet meme. Because of his questionable political statements and stances, Mikhaila has followed in her dad's footsteps with her own podcast called The Mikhaila Peterson Podcast, where she talks about topics aimed at improving the human experience. Growing up, she was diagnosed with chronic pain and a bunch of diseases like rheumatoid arthritis, celiac disease, food sensitivities, and depression. This gave her the perfect topics to talk about on her podcast, and she shared her stories of recovery and treatment to inspire many. She talks about how her father's omnivore-based diet helped with these problems, but that doesn't mean she doesn't add in a few opinions of her own regarding stuff like vaccinations and COVID. Today, she is mostly physically pain-free and has built an empire, just like her dad. So yeah, she's making her own money, and some say it's only a matter of time till she earns more than her dad. Her podcast gets millions of views on YouTube and Apple Podcasts, and her business Luminate Productions is quite successful. This is an entertainment business that promotes, produces, and boosts her and her father's podcasts and shows. But this doesn't mean that Luminate Productions is her selfish venture to make the family podcasts better. The business has also worked with the Supercast podcast platform, the Understand Myself personality assessment tool, and the app's Essay and AIM. Other than being a CEO and podcaster, she also writes, just like her father, on topics related to diet, lifestyle, and health. The podcast itself welcomes all kinds of guests, so there's always new insight into whatever she's talking about. Before I get into the details of some very interesting rumors, you must be wondering what's so important about her diet that she'd start talking about it on her podcast. Well, ever since 2017, she's been following the Lion Diet. To all you gym freaks out there, you might have an idea of what this is, since you guys know about every nutritional diet out there. Basically, it follows a beef, salt, and water approach and is considered to be the most restrictive version of the carnivore diet. The Lion Diet allows meats like beef only, with the addition of just salt and water. According to Mikhaila, after telling stories from her experiences, thousands of people did the same and noticed a lot of positive responses. They've reported complete remissions of autoimmune disorders, psychological problems, and digestive issues. That's not all, because these people have also experienced improvements in their overall physical and cognitive health. Even if doctors think this diet isn't as healthy as both father and daughter are making it out to be. By the time she was just 22, she was on 10 medications to help with all the diseases she had. Here's a rundown of some of them: antidepressants since the 5th grade, rheumatoid arthritis by 17, which deteriorated her hip and ankle joints, and bipolar type 11 at 22. The list doesn't end there, because she was also diagnosed with hypersomnia, Lyme disease, psoriasis, and eczema. So when Mikhaila revealed that following the Lion Diet helped her with all of these problems and diseases, Jordan thought he should try it out too. Then, on the Joe Rogan podcast, he said that he lost 50 pounds and that his appetite fell by 70%. People just had to see what this was all about. But doctors have pointed out that the risks of this diet include protein poisoning, vitamin deficiencies, and a couple more things that don't sound too appealing. Now, I'm not going to spend the entire video talking about the diet because it's time to get to the good part of the truth, rumors, and drama. Just know that this particular meal plan was what helped her get rid of so many problems in her life. Right, let's get down to business. Word on the street has it that she was in a relationship with a very prominent man on social media. Any guesses? So Mikhaila talked about her connection with Andrew Tate, whom she met back in 2018 in Romania. They had a nice night out, visited different places, and even went on a ride in one of his expensive cars. These are the cars that he'd always boast about in his videos. So inviting a girl from a European country like Romania and driving in his luxury cars. I don't know about you, but this spells romance to me. Tate said that she's a nice girl with an intelligent father, because Andrew can never just compliment a girl for who she is. The interesting part of all this is that the two met before either of them had that big jump in their careers. Tate wasn't the face of toxic masculinity and Sigma males yet, And Mikhaila wasn't a big CEO with a successful podcast show either. This may have been a date, but the question is if they did anything more than just dinner and sightseeing. The answer to that is no. Allegedly. Mikhaila, on the other hand, made no comments about such, which made the whole situation smell a little fishy. So, the way Tate feels about the Petersons is pretty clear. After complimenting the family for their knowledge and, at the time, how successful Jordan was as compared to his daughter. But as the years went by, the two's messages on their platforms about life and well-being were contradicted by the scandals Tate had been caught up in. One may think that Andrew and Mikhaila followed the classic but rare lovers to enemies trope, but I don't think that's the case. Whenever she was put in the position to talk about her time with Tate, she would avoid an honest answer or opinion and would just stick to discussing what actually happened that evening in Romania. There was never a definitive yes or no. Hardly any compliments shared or personal opinions told in any of her podcasts. The only time she did talk about him publicly was in a Twitter Q&A in 2020. But this was answering the same old question about their time in Romania. There was no additional information or anything. She just went with the story everyone's heard before. Now, Jordan hasn't talked much about Cobra Tate, other than showing interest in the phenomenon that he is. He questions why Tate is so popular and calls it a mystery, and his fame is owed to how he doesn't easily bend a knee to anyone. There haven't been many personalities like that on the internet for a while, which is why a particular group of people are going berserk over him. Peterson did acknowledge the controversies and accusations that Andrew was a part of and compared him to a pimp. And if there's one thing about Jordan, he's not a fan of pimps. Other than that, he thinks that his fans have an attraction toward him the same way boys have an attraction to violent rappers. Jordan doesn't really have many details about Tate's personal life and doesn't want to cross any lines without knowing the facts. So his opinion was based on what the public knows, nothing else. But when more details about Tate's accusations surfaced online, Peterson got a little harsher. Jordan called Tate the lowest form of life because everything he was being charged with went against what Peterson talks about when discussing life and ethics. When both father and daughter were on the same podcast together, Mikhaila recalled the time Tate explained his adult video content business back when they were in Romania. Wait, have you wondered how the two ever crossed paths in the first place? Well, Mikhaila was in Germany when Tate pitched an idea about a subscription platform for her and her dad. This was rather convenient since Jordan was banned from Gmail due to his content. So, in other words, that date could have been disguised as a business meeting the whole time. But hey, it's fun to speculate and think of everything that could have and couldn't have happened. Although Jordan isn't fond of Tate's ways and actions, Mikhaila finds him very interesting. She described him as a human shark because of the combination of his polished look, sharp intellect, and dangerous elements. Looking at all these rumors and what each party has said about each other, would you believe them to be true? Perhaps the thing that makes this whole ordeal 10 times more interesting is the fact that, at the time, Mikhaila was married to businessman Andrei Korikov. I mean, they had a daughter together. Cheating is pretty common among celebrities, but if you have a dad like Jordan Peterson who emphasizes life and its morals, I don't think you'd think of having an affair. Today, she is married to Jordan Fuller, and she finds this marriage much better than her previous one. Jordan gave the green light too, since he performed the ceremony himself. And so, from possibly cheating on her husband to spreading her own health agenda to thousands of people, that was the truth about Mikhaila Peterson.